Hi everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to talk about a concept called integer division. So let's just start out with a simple program. We're going to say int num equals 1 divided by 2. And then we're just going to go ahead and print out system.out.println. Oops. Oh, give Eclipse a minute. There we go. The number. And what should we get? We think that we're going to get 0.5 because 1 divided by 2 is a half, or 0.5 in decimal. So let's run this and see what we get. So we actually don't get what we thought we were going to get. We get 0. So that's because with integer division, Java will perform the division process but chop off the decimals. So 3.9 as an integer would be 3, 4.7 as an integer would be 4, and it never rounds up no matter what. So let's go ahead and change this right here and change the numbers. What if we had 3 over 2, and let's run that, and we get 1. So we know that 3 divided by 2 is actually 1.5, but since Java is looking at the 3 over 2 as an integer, it chops off that decimal place. So let's look at the right here for a minute. Java doesn't really care what we're storing it in right now. It's the numbers on the right that matter. So Java is actually looking at 3 and 2 as an integer. So even if I were to change this right here to a double, we're still going to get 1, even though I made this a double. What can hold an integer? So 3 over 2 is 1.5, but Java is actually looking at the right-hand side here, 3 as an integer, 2 as an integer, doing that division as an integer, but storing it as a double, which is why we got 1.0. So they would have to have decimals to be able to interpret them as an actual double. So if we wanted to get the correct answer, all we would really have to do is put 2.0, and we can run that again, because now what we're getting is we're storing it in a double type, and then we have 3, which is an integer, but we're dividing it by a double, so it actually outputs the correct answer. So that's how integer division kind of works. Since doubles are larger in terms of memory, Java does return the correct double here. Now, what if we had a double number and we said it was 3 over 2 plus 1.0, and we're going to print out that number? We actually get 2.0. Now, why did we just get the correct answer 1.5 before with 3 over 2, but now we're adding 1.0 and we're only getting 2 when we know it should be 2.5? Well, again, let's look at the right-hand side of the equals. 3 is an integer and 2 is an integer, so when Java goes through and looks at this, it's actually doing an integer division. So this part right here, which gets executed first on the left-hand side, is 1, right? And then we're adding 1.0, which is a double. So now our double outputs 2.0. So how could we fix this? Again, we'll just add 0.0 right there to one of those, and we do get the correct answer of 2.5. So at first the concept might be hard to understand, but I hope if you guys go through some of these in practice and think about how numbers work in Java, it should help you out. So what happens, one last thing to wrap up, if I made this an integer? I tried to run it. We get an exception error and we get a compilation problem, we cannot convert from a double to an int because memory-wise in Java, doubles cannot fit the size that they hold, cannot fit into an integer value. So we need to hold this as a double value because that allots enough memory for the program to run and for the value to be stored. So that's what we get. So I hope that now you kind of get that an integer divided by an integer will return an integer even if you're trying to store that value in a double. So I hope that makes a little more sense now, and I'm sure you'll see some of these problems in your programming questions. Leave any comments on the video if you have any questions or want me to go over something a little more in depth with integer division. Thanks guys, we'll see you next time.